An NFC Championship rematch in Philly. We could have a four-way tie atop the AFC. And is this the year a non-quarterback wins MVP?
Yes, 100%.
Week 13, Football Nation. Your Dress Down starts now.
All right, 12 weeks into this bad boy, and we haven't done this, but please hit the like button and subscribe to Sportsnet. It tells folks who need to hear it that you like this, that you like Nate, one of the busiest men in show business, but still showing love north of the border. What up, Nate Dogg?
What's up, baby? How you doing, man? Hey, I'm digging the outfit. I can tell the weather is getting a little chillier, but the shirt is fire, though. The shirt, that's a moment in time right there.
That is, for those who don't know, Cleveland Conference. Those are some pretty big dudes at a time in their life where they did not benefit from this, but they decided to come together. And that, to me, is admirable. NFL on CBS, the other pregame show, CBS Mornings, NFL Network. There's podcasts mixed in there. There's Football Nation with some bald jackass, interviewing Wu-Tang Clan. Like, what don't you do these days?
I'm doing it all, bro. Come on, man. We're at a certain
model.
age
I saw model on the family model on the Instagram.
Come on now. We're doing it all, baby. Yeah. While I have the energy, I'm gonna work all the jobs that you remember the old Living Color skit? You got 12 jobs done. Yeah, that's me. That's me.
Was it the Amon family?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so good. First question. Did CBS Mornings pause at calling ODB's son young dirty bastard?
Not at all. Not at all. You know, I had to throw that in there. You know, I had to make sure they knew I had to represent. That was a bucket list interview, by the way. Having RZA, YDB, shout out to him. But RZA, the architect of Wu-Tang, came through. And I'm trying to maintain my professionalism. I'm like, so what do you think about Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers? And what comes to mind when I show you this album cover? Then he starts spitting the verse of Triumph. And I'm like, about atomically, Socrates' philosophies, and I just got right into it. You know, and for a second I was like, is this cool? And I'm like, you know what? This is why they got me interviewing them, because I'm entrenched in hip hop. Yeah. So yeah, it was pretty dope.
Is that the best Wu-Tang song?
I think it's that. I love Cream, man. Hash rules, everything. That just right there is because that's so
that taught
true.
me a life lesson. Oh yes, it is so true.
But like you said, it taught you a life lesson, right?
Without a doubt,
it's real.
Yeah. I use that line all the time when discussing, like, back when I had my 2-hour show. You could, half the time when we had some sort of controversy, you could point back to money, and I would just say, Wu-Tang Sam once taught me, cash rules everything around me.
Cream, and it's true.
Yes. All right. We are 2/3 into the season, and I have a note that is true. I'm not sure what to make of it. But the Ravens are on a bye at 9-3. That's tops in the AFC. But by the end of the week, the Chiefs, Jags, and Dolphins could and maybe should join them there. That would be 4 teams tied atop the AFC at 9-3, with more in the AFC maybe at the same spot at the end of all this. What do you make of that?
I think the AFC is loaded. For a long time. It was the NFC dominating. And you know what? When it comes to CBS, I'm quite thankful for that we have some quarterbacks that we feature on our network on a weekly basis that are quite frankly kicking ass. But it does mean that once the playoffs come, this isn't going to be a walk through the park, you know, when it comes to the first round. I do believe it's going to be competitive from the top all the way to teams that are still on the cusp trying to figure out who they are. Because I can sit here and say, you know what, the Chiefs are dominant. We know what the Ravens are doing, even without Mark Andrews. The Dolphins are balling. Look at what the Jags are doing this year. But at the same time, I could ask you, are you slightly scared of the Broncos? Are you slightly scared of the Texans? Like, the AFC is loaded.
I want to get to the Broncos and the Texans because I have no idea how, in the good name of Sammy Winder, that became a big game. But the marquee is clear. Like, speaking of 8-3, we've got an 8-3 Niners team taking on the Eagles in Philadelphia. First time they met since the NFC Championship. A 31-7 win for the Eagles. How do you see it playing out?
I think this is the most important game for Brock Purdy. The most important game of his young career. Nothing compares to this. I don't care about the first start. I don't care about his first game after he came back from the injury. I don't care about the game when they benched Jimmy Garoppolo or after they traded Trey Lance. I don't care about none of those games. This is the game because we always reference this one. Hey, I don't know what would have happened if Brock Purdy would have remained healthy in that NFC Championship game. That is a legitimate question. That is no disrespect to the Eagles. We're just saying at that point, he was on an absolute heater. So for a couple of reasons, how good would you have been? He might be saying it's just another game, but he's thinking about it. I know he's thinking about it. The second thing is, will he see ghosts out there? I'm telling you from a player's perspective, right? Let me break this down. You go to a place, you play against a team on the road, you injure yourself. You are guaranteed to think about that injury every time you step on that field. Every time. I don't care how much you have rehabbed. I don't care how much stronger you are. I don't care how well you have done. I don't even care if you're a better, bigger, faster, stronger since the injury. Once you go back to the scene of the crime, you start getting flashbacks. So will he see ghosts? Or will he just be in his bag like this is just another game? I think this is going to be tough. And if he comes out on top, this is the moment where we saw Brock Purdy grow up. This is the moment where we say, all right, let's stop playing around and start mentioning him as one of the MVP candidates as we close out the year. Now, if he doesn't show up and he does see ghosts and he just has a bad game on the road, now we know there's certain things that can get to the guy who seems so even-keeled.
Yeah, for those who don't remember, so the Eagles win 31-7, but Brock Purdy 4 for 23 yards. He's hurt on the first possession of the game for the Niners, tries to come back. Josh Johnson, like all that MVP, like downplay the MVP talk for Brock Purdy. Like, let's not forget what they were without him. And that was Josh Johnson, 7 of 13 for 74 yards, right? Like they had 164 yards of total offense in that game without Brock Purdy. So I am right there with you. I think that this could be a real he done grown up game if he if he ends and listen, like I think a lot of people kind of disrespect the guy because he was Mr. Irrelevant. But if you just look at the, I mean, the guy he would be the youngest player in NFL history to lead the league in passer rating. If he does it, he would surpass Dan Marino. Like that number alone to me is kind of crazy. All right, 2 more stats for you. Okay. Do you want to jump in there?
No, I was just going to add on to that. People say, oh, well, he has talent. I mean, he's throwing to all these super. Bro, you still have to make the right decisions.
The Eagles game tells you, right? Like that. Right. Those guys were still on the field.
And why do we criticize other QBs that have talent and fail? Like we can criticize Kirk Cousins, be like, man, well, he has a good running game and he has wide receivers and a tight end. And then when he plays bad, we criticize. So why don't we praise the guy for making the right decision? Just because you have good talent doesn't mean you have good discernment. Brock Purdy goes through his progressions and knows where to go with the ball. That right there is good quarterback play.
Okay, 2 more stats that I was thinking at it was
I
think the one that jumps out to you more. When trailing at the half, NFL teams are a combined 35 and 129. The Eagles are 5-0 when trailing at the half this year. San Fran is 8-0 with Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams in the lineup. Which one of those 2 stats jumps out at you more?
Hey, I'm not going to lie to you. Both of those stats are grabbing me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold you. That Deebo and Trent, that's a nugget right there.
Trent,
because
for
those
real.
Dudes are monsters, like physically in their presence just on the team. But I have to go with that comeback stat. You know what I'm saying? Because across the league, you're saying that teams come out of halftime trailing and they don't make the proper adjustments. But the Eagles, on the flip side, when they go into the locker room, that coaching staff is doing what they need to do, right? Which is making the adjustment, coming out, and fixing what they did wrong in the first half. That's a big deal. And to be honest with you, Tim, that might be what Tom Brady was alluding to when he talked about there's mediocre play and mediocre coaching, because you do see some moments where as couch quarterbacks, we're making adjustments for the team. And then we get out and we're yelling at the TV or we're live at a game and you're saying, why are you still running the draw? They're not falling for it. Or, you know, what? Stop the screens. They're not working. So, like, I understand adjustments are huge in the NFL, and not every team is built for them. Now, there are teams that are built to play with the lead and extend the lead, most of the teams can't play from behind and come out at halftime and correct what they did wrong.
I think that is all paralysis by analysis. Like there's so much money involved. And look at Frank Reich. Like that, I don't care what you think of the job that he's done to replace 2 coaches in 2 years.
Bro.
And, like it's just, you got to have some consistency.
Yeah, you definitely got to have some consistency. And I feel bad for him because the play of the players isn't on the coach or the coaching staff. If you have subpar play, and these were the guys that you wanted as a owner, GM, and coach, you can't blame the coach if he's just falling in line saying, oh, we all agree? Okay, you want to get these guys in this next year's draft? You want to bring in these free agents over the next couple of years? Okay, I thought we all agreed on these players who aren't playing their game or not playing good enough football for him to keep his job. I feel bad for him.
Yeah, I feel like because guys get fired 1 year in, there are other guys who are afraid to make the mistake because they want to keep their job. And that security, that confidence in decision making, I think is really important at the professional level because it's worth so much to these guys. Like I would do it too. If it was $5 schmil a year, if I keep my job, then maybe I'll do something that I wouldn't normally do. But if I have the confidence that my owner believes in me, like look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. Like they consistently win because they know that the coach isn't just going to get fired on the drop of a hat.
That's real talk. And they've had winning seasons, and this season is one of the shocking ones because you're like, they're figuring things out at quarterback. The running game is hit or miss. Wide receivers are young. All they have is TJ Watt and a bunch of guys. Like, there's all these reasons why people were trying to pick and pull at the Steelers, yet they're still relevant and completely in the fight.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I'm going to get to TJ in a flash because he's having a year. AFC is a mess at the top. NFC is a mess in the race for the wild card. That all comes together as the Chiefs visit Lambeau Field. Packers were 2-5, but playing way better of late. Is this too much for them? Is this one like too much to ask of them?
Yeah, I think so. This is a tall task. Even though you're at home, it's a tough place to play. And Jordan Love, he got in his bag last week. And you can see when he starts walking off the field and he's smiling, there was a back shot after he had spoke to a sideline reporter and he was running off and the reporter was closing their remarks. And you can see him in the background. He was doing like a whole Instagram live on the way out talking to like one of the social media people. I said, oh, he's in his bag now. Yeah. But you're going to face a guy that does this and does this at a high level. So if they can get a win against the Chiefs, credit to them, but I do believe it's going to be too tough. I'm picking the Chiefs in this one.
All right, 2 more games to jump out. Broncos and Texans kind of already touched on it a little bit. And the Monday night sees a cat fight, Jags and Bengals. Take your pick on which game you want to talk about.
It has to be the Broncos-Texans.
Yeah.
Even though the Texans lost by a field goal last week to the Jags, right? They're still one of the hottest teams. Like, they have everything that they need to scare every team that they will face moving forward. One, they have the wins under their belt. They already have broken some rookie records. CJ Stroud is an absolute pro. Like, this dude says the right things, does the right things, and he's leading by example. But more importantly than all that, and I've said this before, and it kind of doesn't make sense, but it makes sense. It's like they don't know what they don't know. Like, they don't know they're not supposed to be mathematically in it. They don't know that they're not supposed to be in the conversation of making it to the playoffs and possibly a Cinderella Super Bowl run. They don't know. Now, on the flip side, you got
what on, as they used to say in my neighborhood. What on? Possible Super Bowl run?
I'm just saying, man. Okay. Like, this season is drunk, bro. I'm talking about corner store 40-ounce drunk. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about fake ID. I don't know how to contain my liquor drunk. This season's crazy. So anything can happen over the next couple of weeks. But, the Broncos, I don't know. Like, they're winning. And Russ is playing well and taking care of the ball. I think he trimmed up from last year. He's moving around the pocket better. Like, Russ we kind of keep talking about, like, people being in their bag. Like, it might not be a bad. Russ is in his briefcase, bro. He's like out there. This is a business trip every weekend. I'm about to go in and go out, and he's doing it consistently. These are 2 teams that I wouldn't want to face if I was one of the talked about squads going into the last part of the year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to face the Broncos or the Texans.
Yeah, and let me give some love to Vance Johnson. Like early on, that defense looked atrocious. Atrocious. And they have absolutely turned it around without a doubt. Yeah. I think there's like a number, the differential between we'll post it when we get this into After Effects or put the graphics on here. But after the first 5 games of the year, and since then, the number would be the greatest turnaround in points per game in the history of the NFL if the season stopped.
Damn.
Right. Like that, it's pretty crazy. All right, so we've been talking about a non-QB MVP all year. Tyreek Hill leads the NFL in receiving yards, touchdown catches. He has the most receiving yards in the first 11 games in the Super Bowl era. Christian McCaffrey has 16 touchdowns. It feels like, honestly, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt.
Christian McCaffrey has 16 already?
He's got 16 already, yeah.
That's crazy. That's like a bone. That's crazy.
He scored in every game except for one this year, if I'm not mistaken. And you mentioned TJ Watt and what he's doing and what the Steelers are doing. Like, TJ is absolutely Myles Garrett and the Browns. I feel like we could make a case for even Danielle Hunter is probably his team's MVP this year. So I go all this way to say, is this the year that we get the non-quarterback MVP, or God forbid, the first ever wide receiver to win an MVP?
Yes, 100%. Listen, we can talk 100%. 100%. And here's why. We can talk about the individual stats. We can talk about TJ and what he's doing, Danielle Hunter. We can talk about Myles Garrett. Of course, Christian McCaffrey cooking, Mr. Everything. We can talk about Tyreek Hill. We can put out their numbers, as we will do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not about that. It's more about quarterbacks aren't having the separation year. Like, you know, at this point in the year, we would usually have a conversation like, yo, is Mahomes about to throw 55 touchdowns? Or wait. Like, is Kirk Cousins about to throw for 5,000 yards? Or what about, you know, Tua or Lamar Jackson? He has rushed for 16 touchdowns, or even Jalen Hurts. Like, his rushing yards, his touchdowns, his completions versus interceptions would be off the charts. And we would say, this QB has separated himself from the pack so much, we're not even considering a non-quarterback. It's not the case this year. Quarterbacks aren't separating themselves. The guys are the dudes that we named. I think this could happen. I really do.
I got excited there, and I feel like because you put the In Living Color Amen family in my head, I'm thinking patois, but tell the man them, because you said Ty Hill on NFL Network, and I saw a bunch of people call it like hyperbole. And to be honest with you, I was looking up the odds as you were speaking on Bet Rivers. I just grabbed the website, pulled it up.
Yeah.
So the top 6 odds online right now are quarterbacks. And Christian McCaffrey is 7th. You can get Ty Hill still at 50-1 if you want. And here's the part that gets me, because someone said to you, well, where were you on Cooper Kupp? And when Cooper Kupp won the receiving Triple Crown, I was there. But and for those who don't remember, 145 catches, 1,947 yards, 16 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers won that year. But Nate, let me read off some of the stuff that I'm going to compare these years, because I think you're on. So Aaron Rodgers won. He had 37 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Okay. Brady was second in the voting. Kupp was third. Brady had 5,300 yards, 43 touchdowns, and came second. Okay. So Kupp was lost in a great year. Nobody's having that year. I did the numbers. Mahomes on pace, 4,500 yards, 32 touchdowns, already has 9 picks, right? That Rodgers year, he had 4. Okay. You go like, I think that Lamar Jackson is the most deserving quarterback for the MVP right now, and he's on pace for 18 touchdown passes. Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm going all that way. Jalen Hurts is right there.
What about Jalen Hurts? Because he has those rushing touchdowns, the tush pushes.
Tush push touchdowns. Right.
Which I don't know if they're going to consider that in the overall MVP voting.
He's the favorite. So Jalen Hurts is the favorite, and a lot of it has to do with all I'm saying is if there was a year, numbers wise, statistically, you're bang on. I think this is the year where we see it. And I'm throwing out McCaffrey. We've been talking Ty Hill all year.
Yep.
You were there for the Calvin Johnson year. He's on pace to break the Calvin Johnson year. Like,
that's what I'm saying. He breaks 2K. He breaks 2K, continues to get in the end zone. And then the last, like, cherry on top, the team is pretty damn good. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a sexy. We know what it is, bro. MVP vote is not always the best player.
Yeah,
it's sexy. This is a sexy story.
It's a narrative award. Yeah.
Hey, listen, don't let these guys go on a heater the rest of the year and KC drop 1 or 2, and now all of a sudden, you know, you have this momentum. You have your MVP that could possibly also be your representative in the AFC Championship game. It all works in the script that people think exists. So I just feel like if this is the year it could happen, Tyreek is the guy.
I will say this. There will be 2 non-quarterbacks, period, top 5 MVP voting. It'll be Christian McCaffrey. It'll be Tyreek Hill, so long as they stay healthy. And I think Run CMC might end up being – it'll be interesting to see how this game goes this week. Like, this could be one of those games where it is a narrative award. A lot of people will be watching this game. If he has that game in this moment, you could see those numbers jump, I think.
What helps Run CMC is that we don't collectively, I say we as in the media, right, and these pundits, we don't necessarily want to give Brock Purdy too much credit for some reason. It's just like, we know Brock's throwing touchdowns, but is he really? Like, who's really carrying the team? It's Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel. You know, that's what people want to say. So that actually helps Christian's narrative. You know what I mean?
Hey, listen, you can say that and the narrative, but as we've learned on this podcast, cash rules everything around me. And right now, Purdy is 10-1 to win the MVP award. Christian McCaffrey is 20-1 to win the MVP award. So if you're putting your money where your mouth is, not all that many people are scared of Purdy right now, because I think they're scared that he's actually going to win this thing. Hey, last one for you. We're out of time here. Just a headline: Aaron Rodgers returned to practice on Wednesday on a limited basis, exactly 11 weeks after surgery to repair a torn Achilles.
What's going on, bro? Like, come on. Like, listen, you remember when Adrian Peterson came back from the ACL and we were like, yo, this dude's an alien, like straight up and down. And the sick and twisted minds of football players, we kind of like that. I came back from ACL. I wanted to beat the 8-month mark. I got back in like 6.5. They're like, yo, Nate, you back? And I'm like, damn right. So, like, we like that stuff for some reason. We love to come back and defy the odds. Aaron coming back 2.5 months after tearing his Achilles is wild. It might be the wildest story of the year. This is a 9 to 12-month injury traditionally. In the NBA, these dudes be taking 2 years off. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how they be milking them injuries. No disrespect to all my NBA guys.
Yeah, no disrespect.
but I just feel like there's a lot of factors. And I've said this before, and I mean this with no disrespect to Aaron Rodgers, because I'm a huge fan, played against him a ton, met him a ton. I think he walks around with the hubris that greats do. They walk around with that borderline cockiness, that ego, that bravado. I'm the best. I can do things that other people can't do, which is why I'm great, which is why I'm one of the greatest of all time. So while we're all barking saying the Jets aren't in it, they're not going to make the playoffs, Aaron Rodgers, you shouldn't be out there, you're too old, Achilles don't heal that fast. He's saying, I listen to everything that people are saying, and I am going to defy all of it. I think that's the leading factor. It's not the money. It's not the playoffs. I think he takes joy in doing what people say he can't do.
Without a doubt, you are completely right. But there was one caveat in that story. And listen, I don't even know if it's true. It was like, but he says he wants the Jets to be in the hunt for him to return. And for me, that was like the caveat of like, and listen, it was just a line in the story. I haven't talked to him. He did not.
That is a subtle little caveat that says a lot about this comeback. But him being at practice, though, the slow motion, listen, the slow motion footage of him at practice, First of all, it's beautiful. They didn't put the audio on there, so shout out to the Jets and the NFL. I'm watching it. It's like I'm watching a movie trailer of a new Marvel film. And bro, the funniest thing about it, when you go back and watch it, Tim Boyle, is it Tim Boyle? The quarterback? Yeah. He's behind him. He's not looking at Aaron dropping back. He's not looking at his spiral. He's not even looking at the coach. He's staring right down at the Achilles. He's like, oh, snaps. Okay, let's see what happens. Y'all seeing this? This is crazy, huh? Oh, snaps. It's the funniest thing. And then when he threw that ball, Boyle looked up and was like, I guess he still got it. It's wild. It's wild.
Right. So the one more thing that I got to add in, and we're way out of time here, but I don't know if you know this. That trailer that you're talking about that we just showed, that trailer was the only video because they weren't allowing the TV crews to film when they're normally allowed to film. Jets practice. Just throwing it out there. I don't know what that means to the overall conspiracy theory.
Wait. You trying to say that was staged? Is that what you?
all I'm saying is I don't know how much he actually did. I wish I could get the actual. You know what? We'll post the actual story on here where it says the other caveat about what it was that the Jets allowed the TV cameras to film, because
I see you.
I love it, but I also love all of the information. You know, I do my own research.
Okay, I see it.
All right,
you must be on that ayahuasca, man. I see you, baby. Yo, you opened up your third eye with that one, man.
Yeah, me and Kyrie got that third eye open. All right, I enjoy this too much, but I promise 15 to 20-minute bites, so we got to cut it off. Nate, great talking football and life with you.
All right, brother. I'll see you next week.
It'll be good.
All right.